we realized that there are four elements that every marriage needs. Now, albeit I believe every relationship needs this. Um, from from a political relationship, from governmental to its constituents, all the way
Corporate,
to
yeah.
corporate, all the way to it just shows up differently.
Yeah.
But the safety, the security, the trust, and the empathy, all those are necessary. And if any of those are missing, someone is actually feeling left out. Someone is feeling missed. Someone is feeling unheard. Someone is feeling unsafe. Someone is feeling insecure.
Welcome to Journey to Joy Live. I'm Dr. Enjoy, your host. Welcome to week 32. Already, episode 32. I have
32
my
episodes?
husband. Yes, 32 episodes. Where have I been? Doing Journey to Joy Live. Anyhow, I have quite a few special guests here this week. My own very husband, Juan Minna, and the amazing Kenyon and Taccara Martin. Ask the Martins.
Thank you so
So
much.
I'm going to have you all introduce yourselves. That's how I do it here. So I won't stumble. Tell
Okay.
us about who you are.
Cool. All right. Well, we are Kenyon and Taccara Martin. We are faith-based relationship coaches, authors, award-winning writers, and producers of podcasts. And that's it. And we have been Ask the Martins for 8 years now. Literally started the year we got married. We are wedding anniversary in a couple days. So we started together the year we got married, doing this work together. Kenyon Martin was supposed to be doing it by himself. That's how we started out. We started out where I was going to be basically his producer, his marketer from behind the scenes. And basically we were going to pimp him out, right? Like we just wanted him to make sure that like he was giving all the great relationship advice. The women loved it. It was great. When we got married, he showed up on camera. And it was so sweet. He didn't feel comfortable going on camera without a wedding ring on. Like the day after we got married, he did not feel comfortable. And he got on camera with his wedding ring on because he was proud. And the women were like, wait a minute, is that a ring on your finger? Who is she?
Oh,
We want to know who
really?
you married, but also why wasn't it me? Like, and so it was just, it was just
That's
a
how
lot.
it is.
Yeah. And we went on, they literally asked for a conversation just between the two of us, right? Like, okay, Kenyon, get on camera and talk about what made you believe Taccara was the one for you and all that stuff. And that was one conversation on Periscope way back in the day that turned into Ask the Martins after. And so what happened was they started to ask us questions more. And he was like, girl, just get in here and get on this camera with me. And that's kind of how it started out. We were initially going to be helping save all the marriages and save couples and help them live happily ever after.
Uh-huh.
And then we realized by the time couples actually got to counseling and coaching, they hated each other already. And so it became a much more tedious work for us. And then that's when we started realizing there were far more broken people coming in and out of these relationships and marriages that needed direction and guidance. And nobody was giving it to them. Nobody was really pointing them in that direction. And that's kind of where we started with our healing and talking about healing and the healing journey of the Soul Ties Detox. And kind of that's what got us here today.
That's it.
That is awesome. So married 8 years. We've known each other 8 years. And in April, we'll be married 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Definitely flies. So this week's topic is from DMs to I do's, maintaining joy in relationships. And it sounds like we were talking a little bit just before this that we both kind of have similar stories, long distance relationships, maybe some DMs in there. So might as well let us know, when did you guys meet, or how did you meet rather?
Oh, wow. Well, we literally met 7 years before we started talking. We were both living our own lives. We were aware of each other on Facebook through mutual contacts and connections and all kinds of stuff. We didn't like each other much. And that was based upon the Facebook perception. You know, for me, I was kind of the know-it-all, supposedly
He was like a relationship
the player guy. You know, I mean,
I thought he was a player.
The thought process.
I thought he was a player.
That was a thought process. She thought that. And then for me, I just kind of thought she was loud and obnoxious, but we didn't know each other. After that, we began, you know, we went, married other people. had other problems. And then
Yeah.
and then we got to a place where we actually relinked back up. Now, when we relinked back up, it was just kind of a mutual helping type thing. She was Taccara is extremely good at writing, marketing, building businesses, and so on and so forth. And so she was reaching out to me because she saw something in me that she said, yeah, this is something we could work with. Now, also at the same time, because I still maintained it. It's still very consistent and just putting out the relationship type posts or whatever the case may be, she was also asking me questions. So that led us to actually learn each other and get to know each other. And then after a while, it was like, huh, you kind, yeah,
I like you and I want you.
yeah. Yeah, it was real, like, it was we didn't know what we didn't know.
Yeah.
And once we figured out who that was, I was like, whoa. Number one, she is a wife. Number two, I wonder if she's my wife. I done messed it up before, so this time I'm not dipping my toe in to somebody else's stash. I want to make sure that she mine. So we continue to conversate. Continue to talk, converse. I'm sorry. So we continue.
No, Merriam-Webster added conversate to the dictionary, so we can say it now.
Oh, okay.
I've heard it before. I didn't even think anything of it.
But after that, yeah, it was we kind of grew together.
Yeah, we grew together. I think what ended up really happening was because all of this transpired and we had never even met in person. And so we were going back and forth and having a lot of conversations. And I was dealing with some stuff with church and church hurt and all that stuff. And he prayed for me. He constantly prayed for me. And his prayers were always, God, protect her from those who are against her, but also protect her from me if you need to. And that was part of that prayer. But then the more that prayer became fervent and he got stronger and harder with that prayer, he was like, Lord, she's mine. And literally really proposed before we ever met in person. And then by the time I got down to Ohio to meet him for the first time in person over all of that, it was like, that was it. He was like, oh yeah, there's no going back. You mine's.
So he was in Ohio, and where were you?
I was here in Georgia. Yeah.
Oh, it was the other way around because he was in Atlanta and I was in Ohio.
She was in
No way.
Oh, wow.
She was in Sharonville.
Ohio.
Sharonville, that's right outside of Cincinnati.
Correct.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm from Dayton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we met on Facebook. He I jumped in your DM before that because we were a part of the National Black Marathon Association Facebook group. And so I guess he saw my profile. I was like, who is this? And so he friended me. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll accept your friend request. And he's liking all my pictures, liking everything for 2 weeks straight. So I was like, he's not gonna send me a message. So I slid into his DMs. And I was like, oh, looks like you run so fast. I'm trying to make my personal record. Tell me more about how you train. And he responded, oh, you are so stunning. I find myself on your page every day.
I just got lost in her posts, her travel posts, and she was just leading an amazing life. And I'm like, I need to get to know her.
That's
Really?
awesome.
I love
That's
it.
awesome.
I didn't even care about his running. It was just my way of
Yeah, that's the
somehow,
open intro.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think for him, we were already talking in the DMs, but I was the one that shifted the conversation to a little bit more personal nature. He, very respectful man, very just, I'm not going to cross no lines I ain't invited over. Like, that's just not his MO whatsoever. And so there was something that I said, I think, about myself, and he didn't make too much of a comment. And in the DM, I was like, permission to speak freely because he's former military.
Yeah.
And once he said permission granted, I was like, yes, consent. I was like,
rules of engagement. He's looking at the rules of engagement.
Yes. I was just like, and I felt like he was just waiting for me to cross over. But it was like he really, he was not going to. So I had to be like, all right, listen here. I like you. I'm sorry. I'm kidding. But yeah, that's kind of how it went down. And then from there, we literally, it was like little kids talking every morning, texting while you on lunch, like doing all that stuff, just back and forth. And it just, we've literally been inseparable since we've been married.
That's awesome. So once you decided to date or that you knew you were talking because y'all liked each other, How long did it take from that point to see each other in person?
Oh, to see each other in person?
Couple months.
Yeah, a couple months. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, the same. Yeah,
Yeah, it
we
was a
waited
couple
about
months.
7. It was like about 7 weeks.
7 weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know dates.
Yeah, once that switch flipped, there was like, yeah, and there we didn't even really date. It was like when we met in person, we were
That's it.
we were planning our wedding.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. It was a matter of just planning, really.
yeah. Yeah,
That's
that was
awesome.
it.
You get so eager. And at this point, you had already been married. So you're just like, look, I've done found the one.
Yeah.
And for us, neither of us had been married, but you had,
My
what was
son.
he, 4 or 5 at that point?
Yeah, Aiden.
And I didn't have any
Yeah,
kids.
my oldest.
Yeah. And you were going through some, we can get into that maybe later.
Life was life. And
But that
Oh, I understand.
Same. Literally same here.
Oh yeah, but just trying to get to each other. We would meet up at different races because we were runners. So like in Chicago or in Atlanta or Detroit. Yeah, just living on the fly. Love on the run. That's what we would go by. Yeah, exactly. But and then after 18 months, I finally moved down here. Got a job down here and I moved. And couple years later, I think you proposed. Yeah, maybe a year and a half later. So yeah.
Oh, that was nice. Beautiful. Kenya was like, I'm not coming back if you don't get married. Like, it was like, basically, I think we were decided that we were going to be long distance husband and wife, right? Like,
Yeah. So when you've gone through bad relationships prior and, you're not, where the blame is assigned, but I also know where I participated in that. I was like, I'm not going nowhere. People here in Ohio need me. And so I'm, got family, whatever. And so I wasn't even trying to date. She really literally, it really literally happened out of the blue because neither one of us were looking to have a relationship.
We not looking.
Oh, yeah. We were dogmatic about whatever.
I was traumatized.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I was like, what? You want to learn about my speed, girl? I'm trying to survive out here.
A lot.
I was not looking for a relationship.
It's interesting. When you're not looking, that's when the one jumps into your life.
Right.
Seriously.
Right. Absolutely. But during the part of not looking, we were evolving.
Yes.
All the anger, frustration, rage, all of the things that happened to us, all of the prayers that we need, everything, we were evolving. We were making a lot of decisions separately before we even started talking about how life is going to go in the future. And I knew that if I didn't want to have what I've had, I had to be somebody different. And so I had to do something different or, be someone different. And it just so happened that someone different came to me and I'm like, whoa. Like, it was a remix.
Yeah, you always say that too, because you never talked to any of your girlfriends.
Yeah, living in Atlanta, it's easy. Men are numbered, so you can easily skip the communication when it comes to relationships, and it's always physical. So
yes.
I've always said that the long distance relationship that we had forced me to communicate. And it was my first time communicating with a woman, actually communicating and just figuring out who I am and figuring out who she was within the process, as well as healing from past traumas.
Can I ask you something about that one? Because we're in the similar boats here. You're with somebody who, when it comes down to like, they're all about behavioral health and like they know stuff, right?
Yeah, it's like, who am I?
Those people, right? Like, and you can't even know your own feelings good. They gonna know them for you,
my little 2 degrees are over there somewhere.
Yeah. I like more power to y'all, okay? But what was that like, Juan, when you were dating her and she has answers, like, but how was that going back and forth?
So I wasn't intimidated. That was the first thing. I did not feel intimidated because she provided that safe space to let me be who I was. Listening to your book, we'll probably talk about it more later, but that safe space was there and I didn't feel judged. So it allowed me to open up even more to her. But yeah, I was still scared. I was still scared. I was
Still
still
a lot of
scared.
growth process.
Yeah, yes. I was still scared. So I was still trying to open up,
Yeah.
trying to figure out how.
Yeah. There was a stepwise process
There
of
was.
opening up.
Because again, trust
I
issue.
grew and I probably did judge you a little bit.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah, of course. Because I'm like, you, Nina? I'm like, she had so many letters behind her name. Doctor, PhD, this and that, this and that. I'm like, who? Me? Really? You know,
Like she's like, literally, it's 2 letters.
yeah, it's like I'm a flawed man. But again, just like you said, I was just trying to figure it out, and I knew what I had in the past, and I've been down that road, and I did not want to repeat those same mistakes, and
I love it.
had to look within. It was just I knew I was a mess, so I had to just reel it in and just figure out what I was doing because at that time I had a son, and I knew I was fighting for custody. I knew that I wanted him to be with me full time. So I knew I had to just step up and kind of just wake up and realize that, man, I have to change. And it was tough, because she would challenge me. Here I am trying to figure it out. And she's challenging me as I'm going through this process. So even though I wasn't intimidated, I would get frustrated at times.
Because you would say, oh, I got to do this. I got to do this. I'm like, okay, when are you going to do it? When are you going to call the court? When are you going to try to
She
get the
challenged
custody?
me. She says, I'm tired of hearing you complain about not seeing your son. What are you going to do about it?
But I just don't want you to paint me as this perfect person.
No. Oh, no.
Because
Of course not.
we both have grown individuals.
Yeah, of course. Let him sing your praises.
Yeah, but yeah, she challenged me, and I was forced to step up, and it felt good. It was the first time being challenged, and it felt good. It really did. But it was tough because I was set in my ways, out just partying and drinking and partying and drinking
And you once said that the right man, no, a man will change for the right woman.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you found the right woman.
yeah, I did, and it was a blessing. It was a blessing. I was not looking at the time. I really wasn't. I was just trying to just run for my son, for my mental health. That's why I started running again. It's like I just need
Literally
to
running.
fix my mindset, my mind space, and just work on me. And yeah, it happened. But
That's awesome.
I love
But yeah,
it.
since we're in this space of people having baggage coming from relationships, trying to get into a relationship that falls upon you and maybe they're the right person, how do we get past the prior trauma or prior baggage in order to maybe not be a clean slate for that person, but just be in a space where you can grow and have a healthy relationship? What do you guys say?
I think it's a matter of self-awareness and then other awareness. You got to get through other awareness is later. You have to get to a place where you realize where you've been, where you are, and where you kind of want to go. Once you identify where you want to go, who do I have to be to get there? What do I need to get there? To be honest, this is not an organized way of getting to that place. It all happens kind of fast, just like you guys. It happens in a way that, oh, she keeps challenging me. She keeps pushing me. These situations keep coming up on me. I have to make a change because without weight to move, you never gain no muscle. So there has to be there has to be a will to lift and a will to put it down. You see what I'm saying? And I think a lot of people miss the idea of the exercise that comes with intimate relationships. You consistently change, but it starts with the mentality of I know I need to, I want to, now let's go for it.
Yeah.
It's that how.
Making the
love it.
decision.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, and I would say from my end, especially for women, I'll speak for women. One thing that Kenyon always talks about is like when we're getting into relationships, the expectation is that you're fully healed and fully functional and ready to walk out that healing. The idea is to be healed enough to where you're aware of your wounds and being aware of what those wounds have the propensity to do if they're not cared for and if they're not looked at. And so, for example, I'll say, as women, it is easy for us to fall into not a victim mentality, but into a place that says, hey, I've been hurt, take care of me. And when we are easily put into that place by ourselves, whether it's imposed on us or we put ourselves there, it's easy to maintain the posture of I'm hurt, take care of me without considering the other person and what your hurt is doing to other people. Because if I'm going to be a spoiled child about it, about my hurt and what it's doing to me, and I'm never looking at what it's doing to my spouse, and I can speak to this so well because it's very much me, and I'm not paying attention to what it's doing to them, then I will consistently demand that my needs are taken care of and handled without worrying about what it's doing to him, but also then what are his needs? What does he need from me in that process too? We were both healing. We were both needing extra love, care, and concern in this marriage. He just spoiled me in the very beginning. And I got very used to being taken care of and not making sure that I wasn't allowing my wounds to whip him in the process.
Yeah, that's some good stuff. Being self-aware of your own emotions, your own traumas and past, and then doing that healing and not expecting them to give you that happiness or for them to heal you. And sometimes we kind of.
I can relate to you, Taccara. I just felt like I was so, broken that I was trying to mend my wounds. And I just felt like she kept on giving and giving and giving and giving. I remember just waking up one day, I'm like, man, it's like, what? I need to do better just focusing on you as well.
Did it seem like I was a healer?
You were assisting.
Okay.
Yeah, you were definitely, you helped me out tremendously. Because again, some things you can't see for yourself. And through our conversations and through her loving me, I saw flaws within me that I just didn't see myself. And, through prayer and love and communications, just definitely revealed certain things that needed to be fixed. And through time.
Absolutely. I always say this, that intimate and married relationships is the lab in which you grow the fruit of the spirit. That's the lab, because you're close, you're mirrored, you're reflected. People see things that you thought you were hiding or that you thought were unseen. And it really does take these, for those who don't have marriage, intimate relationships, close relationships, interpersonal relationships, but it takes those to bring the best out in us.
Yeah. And that's why I tell people too, don't shy away from those hard, heavy fights, because it really is building that muscle. When you're going in, and now if you're fighting heavy and hard all the time, like that's a conversation. But for us, we don't fight often, but when we do, it is definitely a growth spurt after that. Once we have that big knockdown, drag down fight. And so it's like a lot of times, especially being broken and going into relationships, my MO was to avoid the confrontation. And so I retreat, I hide. If I know you're upset, I'm going to go away. I'm going to hide. That's my coping mechanism. And so what we've had to learn to do is actually say the hard things. Even if it's going to hurt your feelings, even if it's going to hurt my feelings, say the hard things. Say it in the moment. Don't wait. Don't let things fester. Don't let stuff start lying to you. Don't let your own insecurity start lying to you. Say the hard things. Even if you don't need to talk about it right then, just say the hard things and then allow that thing to feed you, see where it's going to grow from, and then y'all come together and deal with it later. But it's a tough balance.
I definitely agree with that, because some couples I might see where they don't argue, I'm like, oh, that's not good. You gotta argue. And we always come out on the other side of those bigger arguments stronger. And I'm like, yeah, at least we talked about it. Maybe we could have talked about it in a better way, but we talked about it and we're growing, and we see fruit from that.
And even when we argued, I remember just listening your book, you guys had an argument, a disagreement. And Taccara, I remember Kenyon said, "I'm here." And how that was so important just for you to, to hear that, and how it just made you feel safe and secure to know that he just wasn't going to run away and leave the situation because it got, hard and heavy. And that's important, because for me, when we argued, I just shut down. And she wanted to just fix it right then and there. I'm like, honey, my previous relationship, it used to go left real quick, where I had to protect myself because I just wasn't ready.
Or you would insult or say things you would regret. So I had to get used to the fact that I gotta wait a day or so before he's ready to talk about it. But I'm like, I need to solve this now. We have to talk now.
Right.
In those times where I forced him to open up when he wasn't ready, then it didn't go so well.
All bad.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, yeah.
But it got better as
Right. And I've gotten better at not forcing it out of you because I'm like, you're here to stay. So why do I need to? I can wait. But when we're
Right.
long distance, I'm in over there in Ohio. Yeah. And you're in Atlanta. He was shut down. That meant that I wasn't hearing from him much. So then it's like, well, where is he? What's going on? Right. Right. But in a married, we're together and living in the same house is different. See? But that safety, that pillar, that security, I didn't have that when we were long distance when we were fighting because it's like, where is he?
Because there's a fear there. There's a fear of loss.
Yeah.
There's a fear of what
Rejection.
can become. Yeah, fear of rejection. Perfect. It's that fear there. And so now we're not only worried about the issue, there's a side issue brewing in our head because I'm the kind of person to jump to conclusions. I'm the kind of person who is thinking about I catastrophize. So I think about everything that could go wrong.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm trying to plan for each one of them. And I might push the envelope a bit, and then I might respond out of my thoughts rather than out of what's healthy to respond. Because sometimes I can cut real good with the words. And so these are the things that we have to learn to see in ourselves. And unfortunately, it's not until we cut someone else till we realize we got to raise our tongue. And so now we have to pull back and say, okay, I'm sorry I did that. I recognize I did that. That won't happen again. But here's how we need to handle this in the future.
Exactly.
3 days ago. Remember how we had I just jumped to a conclusion. I'm like, oh, why aren't you eating? Or
I remember that. But you
I
really
quickly recognized. He said, I'm sorry, honey.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
You filmed something. I had literally, this was where I'm fat. We're doing intermittent fasting. And I had just told him that I didn't eat breakfast for obvious reasons, that I'll eat at noon, blah, 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 blah. And then 5 minutes later, I said something about not eating. You were like, what do you mean you didn't eat? Why didn't you eat? You just made breakfast for the kids. You didn't eat with them? And I had this look. You're like, don't look like that. Why are you looking like that? And I'm like, wow, I literally just told you I'm fasting till noon. He's like, oh,
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But an argument like that can easily blow up for no reason.
Yeah, I caught myself. I definitely caught myself, and I apologize at the moment. I said, oh, I'm sorry.
Because it had to do with
actively listening and working.
Actively listening.
That's powerful. That's powerful.
Exactly.
Being willing to apologize is such a blessing for every relationship. For being willing to say, you know what, I could be wrong in this situation. Let me further investigate. And that really that's not only empathetic, but it shows so much love and care and consideration for the other person. So now instead of being self-centered, we're serving centered, where we're looking at them and saying, okay, my bad. I got it wrong. Because I forget a lot. Like at 51, I'm like, I will forget everything.
While we doing it. Like we should be doing something in the middle of it and then forget.
Yeah, exactly.
And honestly, we're forgetful because we both have ADHD. So it's like we all just forgetting. And there goes that mental health part, like how to maintain joy when both of you or either of you have some mental health issue.
Absolutely. I think we've never been formally diagnosed, but there's something
very
but
she diagnosed me.
Yeah, he hasn't been formally diagnosed, but since he's married to a psychiatrist,
no copay, no insurance needed.
None whatsoever. I think all of it. If we spend any amount of time on social media and TV nowadays, we all have some level of ADHD. I work in front of 3 computer screens at any given moment, so my ADHD is strong. It's strong to the point to where I literally have had to move around and do things. And I think it is impacting my mental health and how I operate and how I move throughout the house, to the point to where now, like I told him, I'm like, all right, like transparent moment. And I told him, I said, listen, I am not feeling like myself, just around the subject of mental health. It's just like, I'm not feeling like myself. If we don't come back from this vacation and I don't feel better, I will get serious about seeing someone. Because the other side of that is when I'm not at my best, I'm an a-hole to him. Like, and it's just not even like funny. And I've noticed a progression My issue is I have this superwoman thing about me. I don't know who gave it to me. I don't want it anymore. Take it back. But
the Black woman syndrome.
Ma'am. So I have this thing where I have to do, carry, and be everything all the time for all people. And especially, you know, when you come from being a single mother, then being in abusive relationships where you were still a single mother, like all that stuff compounded on me, and I don't do well releasing it because I'm supposed to be taking care of everybody. If I release it, that also means I'm going to have to burden you with it. And so literally I said something to him last week about how I had been feeling. And he was like, why are you just now telling me this? I was just like, well, let's not talk about that. I'm just trying to get better about talking. Let's just accept the win. I'm telling you how I'm feeling. I am not okay. It's depression. Like, I know very clearly what it is. And he finally came back and said, yeah, you don't sound like yourself. That don't sound like something you would even say. Like, I said something. And so it's to the point now he's like, all right, take your meds. All right, you want to go for a walk? You want to like, and so that's the thing. Like, he comes to me and make sure I'm okay. Make sure that my environment is peaceful, making sure I feel okay, you know, all that stuff. And so when I'm not feeling my best, he picks it up and like takes it on for me and makes sure that he, even when I'm a jerk to him, he still makes sure that the environment is such that it's not any more stressful. Same thing, vice versa. He does not really like to be bothered when he's upset either, but okay, he'll tell me what to pray. He'll tell me, you know, you need anything, baby, let me cook for you. Let me do something. You know, most men, I thought when you grew up in church, they said just offer men sex and that would make everything better. No, not at all. Like, he actually needs other things than sex, ladies. And so it's like, learn how to communicate in other ways. And so that was the thing I had to learn, is that his needs are different from my needs when I'm going through, but he literally picks up right whenever I'm going through something. He knows exactly what to do because we've cultivated that awareness, that empathy for each other, and making sure that we are there and picking up.
That's really good. Knowing your spouse and recognizing the signs of when they need something, they need some me time or need some self-care, and being able to support them. I know one time I came home really frustrated. It was, well, I remember the reason. I asked you to make dinner and you didn't. And I was like upset because I was like, I did all this today and picked up the kids and now I still have to also make dinner. But then you took the kids out of the house.
Left for about an hour, right?
And left, and you were playing, you were just outside in the backyard playing soccer. And it really wasn't that cooking dinner was the problem. It was just that I needed to be decluttered mentally. I turned on my Hans Zimmer music and I was cooking, and cooking is fun for me. It's not fun for you. So it worked out. So he supported me in me needing to have a quiet house and just do what I need to do. So
that's dope.
That's teamwork.
Teamwork.
Just understand.
That's awesome.
And then when she sees me stressed out, she's like, you need to go to a baseball game. Just go watch the Braves play whoever. We'll be here. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, because that's awesome. His way. His way of having me time is getting into 45-minute traffic to go to a game.
I love
2 hours before it starts and sitting there. But that's what you like.
Yeah, decompress and being at a baseball game, talking to strangers and
that's why you don't go out that much. Just go with some friends, go find a man's trip, you know. And that's the thing when you don't go out and do things too often. And it's like, go do your thing.
Absolutely.
I'm a changed man.
We're kind of alluded to, covered multiple times, but let's talk about that more in depth to the extent that you wish, because we still want people to buy the book, listen to it, read it. But let's talk about those pillars, because that was really good.
Oh, thank you. It's very interesting. It developed out of a training that we were doing. We were in Phoenix, Arizona, with FCC.
Yeah, Faith Christian Center. Yeah, in Phoenix.
Faith Christian Center, and we were asked to speak at a marriage retreat. Right. It was late at night, and we were fighting. We were arguing, but we didn't know. We were frustrated because we didn't know what they needed. You know how they talk. You know how it's like, well, I'm going to pray and it's going to come to me. It didn't come.
Structure.
Right. We needed structure. We needed to focus on, okay, what's necessary. And so when we look back at that argument where we needed to take time out, but how we handle each other, and we look back at how we had, I think at that time we had already counseled a few couples or did some premarital, and we realized that there are 4 elements that every marriage need. Now, albeit I believe every relationship needs this, from a political relationship, from governmental to its constituents, all the way to corporate, all the way to it just shows up differently.
Yeah.
But the safety, the security, the trust, and the empathy, all those are necessary. And if any of those are missing, someone is actually feeling left out. Someone is feeling missed. Someone is feeling unheard. Someone is feeling unsafe. Someone is feeling insecure. Someone is feeling like, okay, am I in the right spot? And that's one place we never wanted to be. No matter how much we argue, no matter how much fun we have, we never want to be like, are we okay?
Mm-hmm.
That has to be established. It has to be the case. But in order for it to be the case, you have to go through tough times in order to test that being the case. But you also have to make the declarations early on that this is who I'm going to be, and be consistent in that. And then you have a base to go back to, like, oh, I haven't been safe for you. Let me be safe for you now. Oh, I have not empathized with you. I haven't heard you. I'm sorry I didn't hear you. Let me hear you now.
Yeah. And I think that's where it starts. Because I think conversely, safety, security, trust, empathy, and they all even have like sub pillars in there too when you start to go deeper into the book. But I think whenever there's been like a big fight, or, at one point we were going to do a follow-up to that book about like basically restoring your pillars or recover, right? That was going to be the follow-up book. It didn't happen.
That's how it ended. That's how the book ended.
It did.
That was damaged.
Yeah. So we were like, let's just make it that final chapter. And we actually probably should revisit that like at some point. Yeah, so we should. But that's the thing. When we started talking about like, well, how would we repair broken pillars? And I'm like, it has to start with empathy, because the number one thing that happens when couples came to us, we're coaching couples right now, so don't ask. But when couples used to come to us, and they would have these issues, a lot of times it was infidelity, and it wasn't always the men. Put it out there too. There was infidelity and things like that. The number one thing that was missing from the person who was a transgressor was the empathy. Like all it was, I said I was sorry. I don't know what else you want me to do. I said I was sorry, right? And that's it. And that's the extent of you making up. But have you internalized how that made them feel? Have you actually sat in that with them? And a lot of times we would see that, like, if you were ashamed of what you did, you went and hid. You try to leave, you try to get away from it, making that partner who was basically hurt feel like you don't want to be around them or you don't want to face accountability. And really, it's you're trying to escape that accountability. So we would tell them, again, start with that empathy. And then in that empathy, figure out what it is that they need in that moment, not how you feel. Because right now it's time out for your feelings. You don't want to messed up. Not how you feel. What do they need in their feelings in that moment? And unfortunately, because you messed up, you're going to have to sit with them in this until it gets to a reasonable point where then you can be heard. We understand there's a reason to it. We understand there's a why. But right now it's about them. It's not about you. And 9 times out of 10, y'all couples broke up because that other spouse couldn't deal with that. They couldn't deal with the empathy.
Yeah.
The empathy.
They skipped that part.
Yeah.
That's so interesting, because I'll quickly skate over, because we didn't talk about what we would be willing to talk about on this or not. But when I was in Cincinnati, you player. So he did cheat before we got married. And I remember the main thing you said to me was, I'm going to continue to reassure you over and over again until I rebuilt that trust. Yeah. And I remember that till today, because that was what I needed to hear. And that was what he continued to do. And I completely trust him 100%.
Because what did he do? He built that security back up.
Correct.
The security.
That's what that was.
And so that's why it hit me when I heard that part. I said,
yes.
Yeah, that's important. Because it's almost like, well, you don't care if you're not trying to empathize with that person.
Correct.
It's like, why are we here if you don't care?
Right. I think we get into a place, especially when any kind of transgression happens, whatever it is, we get into the place where like you said, I said, I'm sorry. But we can get protective and sensitive about having to prove that I've changed, because change takes effort. Change takes energy. Yeah. And let's be real here. When it comes to men, it's hard to feel like I'm being pushed into a corner to make a difference just because your feelings are hurt. You cannot direct or dictate to me what I should be doing based upon your feelings. It can get like that for us men because we're um we're we're in positions where we want to be leaders. We're in positions where she sees us as a leader in some way, shape, form, or fashion. We lead something. We are the head. And so we feel invalidated in our strength when we have messed up. We're always beating up ourselves. We beat up ourselves silently, but we don't like when you beat us up, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
So, but we cut all that short when we say, I get you. I heard you.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
This is the change I'm going to make.
I'm actively listening.
And man, there, yes. Is this what you said? Let me make sure I got this correct. Or
play it back.
Right. Or consistency. Every day, I'm going to be the same person to you, regardless of whether you're with me or not. I'm going to be that same person to you, so that you can understand that you are secure with or without me.
Yep.
Or with or without me next to you, I should say. And so men do struggle with that kind of
vulnerability.
apology. Vulnerability. Right. Or here's the best way to say it. Apology, vulnerability put together is repentance.
Well, that's a
And
strong one.
and we struggle with that. Now it depends on our maturity level, but we can struggle with that. And every now and then, because of the law of familiarity, I'll struggle with it with her anyway. You know what I mean? But we can struggle with that. But empathy will cut all that short. All we have to do is be consistent, and then suddenly she turns around and says, "I trust you."
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. That's interesting because in a lot of our arguments, I'll say, well, what if it was the other way around? Like I try to push him into that empathy if I don't feel like he's empathizing with me. But yeah.
I like to push envelopes.
Oh, you do. He's caused arguments, especially when we're long distance. It didn't even need to be arguments.
I was just trying to be funny.
It would be like a joke, and I don't realize it's a joke, and then he just laughs and makes it into an argument. I'm like, why did you do that? Because now that I know you more, I'm like,
like that was dumb. Don't do that no more.
It was dumb. That's what she was saying. That was dumb. I said, you're right.
But we can just keep going on and on. I'm so glad you guys are here. But before we go, Journey to Joy Live, that's the name of this podcast. I always ask the individuals that come on here what their own journey to joy is like. But since we're talking about couples, what would you say your journey to joy as a couple has been like?
Amazing. It's been amazing. This is a storybook. We feel like we got the cheat code, and I wish this for everyone. And the interesting thing, we don't see a lot of people who have this. But for us, our journey, we're still growing. We're still learning. We're still butting heads, and we're still going through all of our ups and downs. But yes. But the journey is amazing because here's the thing. Marriage is not the destination. Marriage itself is the journey.
Yes. That's good. That's what people don't understand. The singles.
Yes.
Get married.
They just want to get married. I think that's it. It's like,
yes.
You say all the time. Yeah. And I used to not like it. He said, marriage is hard. Marriage is hard. And when I would hear that, I'm like, when you say marriage is hard, it makes it seem like you're saying hard.
Like I'm hard.
Yes. It's hard being married to me. He said, that's not what I mean. I just mean you got to work at it. And I'm all like, positive affirmations. You got to say nice things about our marriage. Just positive affirmations.
But both can be true.
Yeah, exactly. But I get it because it is hard. And our journey to joy is great. It's amazing. And we're learning the financial journey, the parenting journey.
Yeah.
The spiritual journey is, I think it's great. But I should let you answer too.
Yeah, no, it's been a beautiful journey. Like I said, it was just a transformation, and just seeing her growth, seeing my growth come together and building a family of 3, our blended family. Seeing just the joy in our kids and just seeing them every morning and watching us and just emulating us and seeing how we interact with each other. It's been a blessing. And
that's awesome.
I'm just happy.
Yeah. Any last words?
I don't know.
Where can we find your stuff? Or where can we find your food?
Oh, yeah.
People who are on my listening and they want to know where to find you guys.
Buy a couple of the books too, so
Yeah.
you can give away.
Yeah. So obviously, all things us is at askthemartins.com. And so anything about us, our books. I recently became a romance writer this year as well. Yeah, the very first book is called Day One. That is also out. And it's actually about a couple that struggle with infidelity. And, it's like got a second chance. And the only reason why I'm plugging that is because of that story that's there. But I think it's a beautiful story. And of course, we have Journey to Freedom, the Soul Ties Detox for single people who are going through heartbreak, going through, toxic relationships and trying to figure out how to get out and things like that. And so that was our first book, was the Soul Ties Detox. And it's really a 6-week journey to help you unlearn toxic habits that keep you in unhealthy relationships. And so that's that one. And then of course, Covered for couples. And whether you're married, dating, engaged, Covered is definitely for all, to help you figure out how to safeguard, secure, and restore your marriage.
There you go.
Well, thank you so much for coming on Journey to Joy Live. I know you two are busy, so I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And thank you everyone for watching episode 32.